Hello and welcome to my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. For any information related to various cards and interactions with cards, just have a look at my other videos. In today's topic we're looking at a brand new card coming out of the Phantom Rage pack, and it's called Coordineral, the Gem Transferer. It's Earth, Rock, Link to effect monster with 1200 attack, and the link points are the right and the bottom is the top right and the bottom left. It requires 2 effect monsters to summon. You can only use this card's name's second effect once per turn. 1. This linked card and monsters this card points to cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And 2. If this card points to 2 monsters, you can switch control of those 2 monsters. So the whole point of this card is, firstly, it's able to actually provide card effect protection. It's very useful if you've got a boss monster that you want to protect, but then again it does provide the same advantage to your opponent. The creature swap effect of it, which is the second effect, is also a bit of a downside. Your opponent is going to know what you're planning to do. I mean, if they just read this card, or since it's a new card, it's kind of on their radar anyway. They'll know exactly what this card does, and they're not going to put a monster that they want on that zone. At most, if they want to use all the zones so that they can do more Synchro Xyz fusion, they'll probably put the weaker part of their combo on that in that area where this card points to. By that standard, this card is quite useless, unless of course you can actually shift around some of their monster zones in some way. I don't see this being that particularly good. There are a couple of cards that do that, but it results in you putting too much effort just to get this effect off. With the original creature swap, the best way of using it was to destroy your opponent's monsters so that they had only their best monster on the field, and you had a bunch of different monsters so that you could trade your weakling for their powerful monster. The point was so that they'd expended all their resources to just bring out those stronger monsters, and you've barely used anything. This not only requires 2 effect monsters to be brought out, but very specific conditions to it, requiring you to have basically a monster for you and a monster for your opponent. I don't see it being useful at all. It's a great attempt at making this kind of effect instilled within an effect monster, but I just think it was poorly executed. I think there's much more they could do. Maybe perhaps not require it to be a link point, but say maybe you can control it but its effects and attack is negated for the turn, or to have maybe some life point cost attached to it. Some kind of limitation which means you're not required to do so much. Or something where maybe you can only use this effect as a hard once per duel effect. At least that way I could see some use from it. Instead, I think this card is going to be increasingly along the list of link monsters that are going to be in the pile-up for the rubbish heap. And the reason I say that is obviously with Master Rule 5, it no longer requires you to run link monsters in order to go into your fusions, Xyz, or synchro monsters, unlike within the Master Rule 4 where you kind of had to do that before you could do so that you could extend your boards. Otherwise you could only really run 1 extra monster to summon. This now only comes into effect for just purely link monsters, which actually makes them a lot worse than what they used to be. What do you think of this card? Do you think I'm being too harsh about it? Do you see any strengths, positives to it? Or do you think, like me, that it's kind of a waste of space and that actually it's too late to kind of save this card? Whatever you think, leave your comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe.